Now, if you've been following my channel, you might have picked up that when I got out of college, I somehow developed this fear of public speaking. And the thing about fears is the only way out is through. If you're afraid of something and you want to get over it, the best way to do it is to go do the thing that you're afraid of, to show yourself that there's not really much to be afraid of. And so reluctantly, I joined this public speaking club called Toastmasters, and they eventually got me into doing speech competitions, which I really didn't want to do. And then after a number of failures, I made it all the way to the state competition and won first place in 2017 at what they call the district level competition in Oregon. Now, if you wait until after the recording of the speech, I'll explain to you why I believe I won that competition. But in preparation, I bought 3 books on comedy writing, dusted off an old speech idea that I hadn't used before, and got to work. So with the help of all of my club members and members at other clubs and anyone that gave me little tips on how to tweak the speech and just make it that much better, here it is, my 2017 state level win of the District 7 Toastmasters speech competition.
Moment of crisis. Moment of crisis, Quint Crispin.
In case you can't tell by looking at me, I'm a bit of a redneck. And there's nothing us rednecks love more than our trucks. Heck, where I come from, if a guy wants to improve his image, he just buys a bigger truck. So it's a little weird for me being around all these little cars that sip gas like it's one of them hot lattes. And sure, my truck goes as gas, but it never gets stuck. There's a tree across the road, I drive over it. There's water in the way, I go through it. And when anyone sees me in my go-anywhere truck, they know I'm a go-anywhere type of guy. People around here, though, they see my rig and think, that's ridiculous. Nobody needs a truck that big. Sure, till it snows a little bit. That's the one day a year when even environmentalists wish they had a rig like mine. Of course, it only works till I get stuck at an intersection behind some hybrid that can't move. And I gotta sit there watching the lights change while they just spin them tight wheels. And I go, hey, why don't you take that thing back where you got it? The Toys R Us. One lady tried to tell me that my truck is just a shell I use to bury my feelings. She said it was my fake aid. Or, how'd she say that? My facade? Anyhow, one day I had to go down where all the freak people live, downtown Portland. And the directions said to use pay parking across the street. All right. Except it was a parking garage with limited overhead clearance. But I didn't notice that, so I'd already pulled in, grabbed my little ticket, and found myself staring up at a big concrete beam. Uh-oh. I better get out of here. But as soon as I went to back up, that little stroppy gate slammed shut behind me. What the? I was trapped. I couldn't go forward, I couldn't go back. I thought, what could make this situation any worse? And just then, someone pulled up behind me in a hybrid. The driver leaned out his window and said, "Hey, mister, why don't you take that thing back where you got it? At the uncompensating for something store." Now I was literally trapped between a rock and a hybrid. There I was in my go-anywhere truck, and I was the one blocking traffic. This doesn't happen to me. My truck never gets stuck. People were looking, people were yelling. What am I supposed to do now? But you know, sometimes it takes a moment of crisis to make us step back, be truly honest with ourselves, and ask, what the heck am I doing? In that moment, I began to realize I'd been striving for attention with my suspension. I'd been investing in that truck when I should have been investing in me. I was so afraid of what other people think that I buried that fear inside a 5,000-pound metal shell. But burying something doesn't make it go away. It will come back to haunt you at the least opportune time. Just look where it got me. More afraid than ever, staring up at that big concrete beam. Just then I heard a voice over the intercom. Sir, you're blocking the entrance. Could you please pull forward? I can't. There's a beam in the way. Sir, your truck's not as big as your ego thinks it is. But I don't want to scratch my fake aid. It's pronounced facade. Just please pull forward. I'm just going to have to show this guy my truck won't fit. I pulled forward, knowing I was going to scrape that beam, but it passed overhead without a scratch. I thought, all right, he was right about that one, but this next one's going to hurt. But it didn't. And as each new beam came and went, I began to realize the things I'd been telling myself were false. And as I rounded that corner up on the second floor, those big scary beams that had been hanging over my head became the structure on which I learned to be more honest with myself. Folks, my ego is easy for you to see. But when was the last time you saw you're wrong? Our eyes can't turn and look inward. And when we look in a mirror, we see ourselves in reverse. No wonder we have such a distorted self-image. It takes real courage to be truly honest with yourself and ask why we indulge in things we know don't make rational sense. We probably are compensating for something, some issue we buried rather than come to terms with. There are people out there who can help you with that, but you have to be willing to change. Don't wait until you're already trapped, unable to move forward or back, with insurmountable challenges hanging over your head. Commit to being more honest with yourself now, before you reach a moment of crisis.
Okay, so here's the really interesting thing. In my opinion, I was not the best speaker there that day. I was one of 9 competitors, and there was a woman there that, in my opinion, demonstrated better speaking skills than I did, delivering a classic, down the middle Toastmasters competition speech. Did a fantastic job. But I, on the other hand, came up with a very unique speech that the judges had never heard anything like it before, and they loved it and ultimately voted me as the winner, or voted that speech as winning. In fact, the guy that you saw standing behind the lectern, Robert, he was the winner of the previous year, and he had also given a very unconventional, like spoken word poetry type speech. So apparently sometimes if you want to win a competition, the best way to do it is to kind of color outside the lines and do something that makes you stand out from the rest of the competition. Now, in case you're still with me, after this speech, I did go and compete because I'd won this level. I went to the international competition at the convention up in Vancouver, Canada, later that year, and I had tweaked the speech and did even better. And I'd love to show you that one, but the audio kind of sucks. You can't hear the crowd, so all you hear is me telling jokes with nobody laughing when it was actually a crowd of like 350 people in this packed room. And I was getting the laughs for sure, but it's also a Toastmasters copyrighted whatever piece of content. So I'm just going to show you the ending because I feel like I improved it so much better than this one. If you want to see it, I'm going to conclude this video with my conclusion to that speech, and I'll just do some little like zooming in and out, a little bit of editing there so that it doesn't trigger any copyright strikes to the channel. Not that I think it would. Yeah, if you're curious, here it is. I'm going to conclude this video with the conclusion of that speech. Folks, I realize my ego is easy for you to see, but until recently, I didn't even know that was there. Because for most of us, our egos blend in, just like camouflage. In order to see them, we have to learn to be truly honest with ourselves. Look for those places where we just might be compensating for something. Issues that we've buried rather than come to terms with. There are people out there who can help us with that, but we have to be willing to change. Why wait until you're already trapped, unable to move forward or back, with some insurmountable challenge hanging over your head? Commit to being more honest with yourselves now, before you reach a moment of crisis.